Hey, good morning everyone. It's Chris from Maynard Dog Training Solutions coming to you live from Dogtopia in Warwick, Rhode Island. And today we are going to do a question and answer type of video. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in and let's get them answered. The one thing I asked, if you could please, whatever city and state you're in from, if you want to make a comment, just go ahead and put your city and state. If you're just watching for a minute, that's fine too. Just throw it on there. Let me see where everybody's coming from. So again, I'm Chris. The majority of the work that I do is positive reinforcement training for dogs, and that's really what it comes down to. So what does that mean for you in English terms is I use some sort of reward in order to treat the dog. So the dog gives me something good, I give the dog something good. We normally use treats, but we also use toys and other mechanisms, as well as freedom as a reward. So freedom can be freedom to smell something, freedom to look at something, freedom to just move about the cabin, and that's how we do it. So I see a lot. Oh, we got a lot from Warwick today. I got some West Warwick, Attleboro. Oh, Nicole. Hi, Colleen. Colleen made it. She's been missing a couple. She's on today. Charlie, I see you. Nicole, I said hi. Yeah. Hey, good crowd today. So while you guys are getting your questions sent in, let me start with some things that people have been asking me over this last week. How to get my dog to ride in a car peacefully. So let's talk about the car a little bit. The first thing about the car is when your dog is in the car, a lot of dogs get car sick. And to kind of help that or prevent that a little bit, what you want to do is get the dog in the lowest spot possible, not the highest. You don't want them to be able to see out the windows if they're getting sick. You want them to be low, something dark, maybe in a crate if you have space for a crate in your car. And that really tends to help out a lot with dogs who get sick in the car. Because what happens is the dog is seeing out the window. All they're looking at is those things that are coming by fast. And that's all the things up close. And that's actually what's sending off their equilibrium and making them dizzy and making them sick and that sort of thing. They don't know logically that if they stare off into the horizon, that they're going to be able to see a little bit better, a little bit easier, and it'll be easier on them. So you want to get them in the lowest spot possible. On another note, people have been asking me about dog parks. Most of you know, personally, I do not like the dog park. Dog parks are for people who are they don't have their own yard to play in. They don't have time to play. It's before work. It's after work. Their dog isn't socialized. This is the only chance they have to be around dogs and people. So they throw them out in this big, giant, open yard that's caged in, basically. And what are they doing? They're walking around on their phone, texting. They're calling people. They're doing whatever they're doing. They're not paying attention to their dog. The dogs just get into too many things. That's a college level class. The dog can't handle all that stress and stuff, so that's the reason why I don't personally like the dog park. And most people aren't really watching their dogs. It's just a free-for-all. So that's my opinion on dog parks. Dog parks can be helpful, but for the most part, I don't like them. So let's see if we have any new questions on here. Give me 1 second here. Let me scroll through. Colleen, when is the best to have a new puppy meet my son's 2-year-old dog? So as soon as possible, not at your house and not at their house. So a neutral territory, maybe a baseball field, maybe dog park that's empty. And what you want to do is you want to kind of do it with a chain. I like to use chain link fence. That's the easiest way to do it because we can keep the dog safe without really having to worry about it. You have one dog on one side, one dog on the other, and you want to see what's going on and what they're doing behind the fence. Now, that can cause a little bit of barrier frustration, so it's not going to show you 100% of what's going on, but at least gives you an idea of, is the older dog, the bigger dog, the more tactically efficient dog going to be able to attack and kill my dog or do something bad to my dog? That's what we need to watch for. But if it's friendly, it's hopping around, it's soft moving, it wants to play through the fence, then you can go ahead and pull it over on the other side. And what I do is once I put them both together, I'll actually have the bigger, stronger dog on leash so that I can control it if something happens. And I'll let the little dog just run around and play because I can always block them, body block them and that sort of thing. So hopefully that helps you. Then from there, you can do it in maybe the backyard or something at the puppy's house. So not at the other dog's house. And then if that goes well, then inside the house. Then if that goes well, then you can go over to the other dog's house and do it in their backyard. And if that goes well, then you can do it inside. So there's a lot of steps to that. If you want to do it properly, that's the way to do it. So thanks for the question, Colleen. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Charlie writes, any tips for older dogs that are showing signs of hearing issues and sight issues? Oh, types for getting them to listen? I'm not sure what you mean, Charlie. Getting them in control or keeping them under control. It's going to be a lot of touching. Maybe you have signals where like 2 touching is good, or 2 taps is good, 1 is no, or something along those lines, and you can kind of teach them that way. But for the dogs that are going blind, it's a lot easier because they can still hear. But if they have hearing issues, then you got to kind of work around that. Hopefully, and that looks like you have Shadow written in there. So from what I remember, Shadow is pretty good at letting you touch him, if I remember correctly. And you could just use tapping as your thing. So tapping, maybe one tap is come with me, and you're rewarding them for coming with you. Maybe 2 is a say, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So you got to kind of make it up as you go. If you want, I can come out and help you out with that as well. When walking them, yeah, definitely tapping. Tapping's going to work really well. That way he can understand what you're asking of him. So, yeah, good question. That made me think a little bit. Hopefully that helps you out, Charlie. Let's see. A lot of people on here now. So let's talk about Corona a little bit, because I know that's on everybody's mind. So the dogs have their own, from my understanding, they have their own virus, of course. They have an immune, shot that they can get from the vet. It's not the same as the human one that's going on right now, so don't be concerned with that. Now, from what I see in some of the testing they're doing, the dog can carry the human coronavirus on them or in their saliva and such. I'm not sure to what level they can pass it with that being said. So at this point, just love your dog. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, you're welcome, Charlie. Charlie had some other stuff on there. Guys, there's a lot of tips. If you look back in my Facebook page, there's a lot of tips and videos about how to do things. Some of them are lessons. Some of them are just question and answer like we're doing right now. It's all free stuff. Go back there, check it out. If you have a question, you can see my information right there. That's me. That's my cell phone. Text me, call me. Not right now, obviously. But I'll try to get back to you and answer as best I can. A lot of times, talking about it on the phone or texting it is a little hard to understand. So it's always good if you can do an in-home session. That's the best way to train a dog. That's really the easiest and best way. Hey, Dave. Dave's on here. Say hi to Luna for me. She's doing great. For those of you that don't follow some of my clients, Luna Pearl has her own Instagram page, and it's as though she's the one writing it. Actually, I think she is the one that writes it. So it's always from her point of view. So if you head over to Instagram and see Luna Pearl. Some other things. Leash walking. So for the most part, I can't show you right now because I don't have the setup here, but for leash walking, I really have very, very strict guidelines for a dog when they're walking on leash with me. They're very much right here. This is my bubble, little half bubble over here on the side. I keep them in that space right there. I'm always two-handed on a leash. I keep them in that spot until they learn how to walk in that spot. They don't get to smell around. They don't get to do anything. We're just learning how to walk. As they get better and better, then I'll give them a little bit more leash, maybe a little bit more. Let them smell around, do more things. The easiest way to teach, and this is more for puppies and older dogs that don't know how to walk on leash, what I'll do is I'll walk, if I can, I'll walk the center of the road. Obviously, that's not possible everywhere you go, but you want to try to take away all the distractions. And those distractions are on the side of the road or the curb, you have all those smells from where the dogs are. All the dogs pee on mailboxes, they're peeing on bushes, the animals run through those areas, that sort of thing. So that's a lot of distraction. So being in the center of the road, the dog can pay more attention to me and my leash work and what I'm doing, so I can keep them walking nice and strict with me. And as they get better, maybe we'll move closer to the sidewalk or on the sidewalk, or allow them to smell in the grass or the areas. Maybe there's a forest off to the side. You know, there's a lot of trees in New England, so a lot of our sidewalks have tree-lined areas. We're not in big cities mostly. But the same thing works with big cities. If you can walk center road on those dead-end streets or those cul-de-sac roads, that's the best for the dog to learn. And then as it gets better, it can take on those other distractions and such. Another note on leash walking: I never ever let two dogs meet face to face on leash. There's either one dog off or both dogs are off. Because what happens is two dogs meeting on leash, they're very restrictive as to what they can show each other in body language, and it's always mismanaged by the people. Oh, my dog's friendly, yeah, go ahead. But what they don't understand is these dogs are showing each other bad body language, because what's happening is they're being restricted by that leash. So now they're given stiff body language. And as we know, stiff bodies for a dog means I'm about to come at you. So we got to be careful of that. So I never let two dogs meet on leash face to face. So just my tip, very helpful. Dave writes, Luna will need a tune-up later. Yeah, she's good. She's one of the best trained dogs that I've worked with in a long time. But yeah, we can definitely set something up, Dave. Oh, thank you for Dave attached her handle at Luna Pearl O. Easiest way to get the boys to stop using the lawn once we reseed it in the spring. Well, okay, so Charlie writes, how do I stop my dogs from going to the bathroom on the lawn? Well, the first thing is pick a designated area that you want to use, Charlie, and that's where you're going to have to walk the dogs out when it's time to go. So as you're teaching them, you're going to walk them out physically on leash, bring them out to that spot. They get treated just like you would a puppy. As soon as they pee, treat. As soon as they poop, treat. That way the dogs know, oh, this is where I put it. And you can kind of border it off if you need to. Maybe you put some logs out there or something that shows the dogs there's an actual physical border, and that's where they stay within. And then they keep getting treated for going out there. What you got to remember is, if I let my dogs just run out in the backyard to play on a regular basis, guess what? They're going to be peeing and pooping everywhere. So unless I'm there to supervise it, it's going to happen. So in the meantime, while it's training still, you might not want to let them just free run all over the backyard. Hope that makes sense to you. Yeah, Charlie, center road. Especially the road you live on. I do this with your neighbor's dogs. I'm not going to name him out because he's not on here right now, but I work with one of Charlie's neighbors, and they have two dogs, and I always bring them center road, especially where you live, that main road right there. All those back roads, stay center road. It's great opportunity for you especially. See what else we got on here. Looks like that's all of them. Let's see. Colleen, I'm not sure what you're writing. You're writing something about picking your puppy up for FaceTime. I'm not sure what that means. If you could elaborate a little bit, and then we can answer that maybe on another time. Having to pick up my puppy over FaceTime due to crisis. What am I looking for? I'm not sure what you mean. If you could elaborate a little bit more, Colleen, and then we'll come back to that. Or we could do a live session with just you if you want. We can make that happen too. For those of you that joined, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You have my text, but if you reach out on here on the messages, I definitely read through those and check them and see what I can use for the next videos and such. And so it makes it a little bit easier for the next person to go, oh yeah, look, somebody asked this same question that we have. Let's make sure we're on there next time. Oh, Dave, thanks for asking. I apologize. I was actually all set up to tell you where I am and what they do here. This is one of the rooms. This is the beach, as you can see at Dogtopia.